Hello everyone, I'm the Masked Analyst. I want everyone who viewed my video earlier tonight to look at a video by confederalsocialist. Now I don't agree with everything he says, and I can't say that I am particularly enamored at his approach in saying what he says, but he did make a very important contribution to the discussion on whether or not Sxephil is a racist. Now in his video, and I'm going to ask you now to go watch his video. Don't continue my video until after you've seen his video. Okay, I'm going to assume you've watched his video by now. In his video, he claims that it's very easy to do what youngwesti did, to set up a page with clickable links, and that the screenshot doesn't mean anything. Now, I note that within the Confederal Socialist video, he didn't actually click on any of the links, but I'm going to assume that it's very simple, very easy for someone who knows what they're doing to frame someone like this, to frame Sxephil. I believe it. I believe it. There is a question, though, as to whether youngwesti has the capabilities of doing this or not. Mean Black Dude, whose opinion I really respect a lot, says that he's been watching youngwesti for a while, and youngwesti was asking such basic questions that makes him believe that this guy's not very sophisticated, and therefore he probably doesn't have the capability of doing it. On the other hand, I also received an email within the past few minutes from youngwesti, and in the email he said, I lied about the whole thing. Now, if you go to youngwesti's channel, you will see that the video in which he claimed Sxephil was a racist, in which he claimed that Sxephil sent him a racist PM, that video has been removed from the channel. You'll also note that there have been a couple of gay porn videos uploaded to the channel, which means one of two things. Either the youngwesti channel has been hacked, and Mean Black Dude says that it was hacked before, and this has happened before. I suppose it's possible that he never changed his password, which would be incredibly dumb. Could have been rehacked again. But I find that most people who claim that their channels have been hacked are lying. Most people's channels aren't really hacked. They're oftentimes self-hacked to get attention for themselves. So who knows? But it's either been hacked or he's lying and we might be dealing with a master troll. It's possible we could be dealing with somebody who at one point says, who plays the innocent, who plays a straightforward guy, who plays somebody who doesn't know very much about the internet or about technology or how to do these things, and then later on he self-hacks his channel, changes personality entirely, and does all this to just jerk us around. So that's also a possibility. I don't know what's going on right now. What I do know is this. Okay, it's possible I made a mistake, but I do know that Confederal Socialist has his own agenda. Here's what I object to most about his video. Not that he says that he thinks I'm a bad guy. Quite truthfully, I don't give a damn whether he thinks I'm a bad guy or not. Not that he urges people to unsubscribe from me. Hey, if you want to unsubscribe from me, that's your prerogative. There are a lot of interesting people on YouTube. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the most fascinating speaker. I'm not the most interesting person. I'll be the first to admit that. So if you want to unsubscribe from me, no hard feelings, feel free. That doesn't bother me that much. What really bothers me is his claim that I am endorsing or playing along or giving credence to racial or racist terrorism. Mean Black Dude, a racist terrorist? Come on. Now that is over the top. You gotta be kidding me. This just shows. If you hadn't said that, I would have very few objections to your video. But that, my friend, tells me that you yourself have quite the agenda. There's one other thing, Confederal Socialist. You claim that youngwesti is a stalker of Sxephil. and that he has gone through sxephil's videos, and he picked out a video from a year ago, and he used the weakness in that video, the apparently racist statement within that video, as a basis for a forgery. He used this as a foundation to build a forgery with which to attack sxephil. And you claim that somehow this shows that sxephil, or is indicative that sxephil is more likely than not that he's innocent. Well, at best, your theory neutralizes the evidence that I produce pointing to sxephil's being a racist. At best, it neutralizes it. But for you to state that this somehow is evidence in itself that youngwesti is a stalker and that sxephil is really evident, that is really innocent, that sxephil is really not a racist, well, all I can say is this theory of yours can be summed up by one word. Bizarro, bizarre, bizarro. That does not compute. Loop, 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 loop. In other words, you have an agenda. You have an agenda, and I would say it's against a mean black dude. I don't care if you have one against me. That's fine. But if you hadn't been quite as strident in your attack, if you hadn't gone out on a limb so much, I have very, very little reason to quibble with your video. And despite my quibbling with your video, I think you made an important contribution here. So again, I hope people watch this video, take what he says into consideration in evaluating sxephil. I never stated unequivocally that sxephil was guilty, but if I were in his position, I would still, even with this contribution by a confederal socialist, if I were in his position, I would make a video denouncing the PM, not only stating that I wasn't behind it, but I would say, look, that is a racist thing to say, over the top, it's not right. That's what I would do if I were sxephil. I stand by that. This has been the Masked Analyst, under and in.